I just stumbled across this site and it's pretty interesting because it'll leave you wondering or asking yourself, is the Seventh day Adventist Church a cult? This is Ellen G. White, and she has a lot of written material she had in the early stages of this religion. This says 104 Adventist pastors fired for rejecting the inspiration of Ellen G. White. Some SDA members have been deceived by their leaders into thinking that they don't have to accept White as prophet and can use only their Bible. Testimonials, submit yours. Number 1. I dropped my membership in the SDA Church in 1981 of my own volition. I was never fired. The actual number of people who either resigned or were fired because of loss of faith in the SDA mission, I believe, is a far higher number than what you list below. Few people, relatively speaking, were fired. Many more, like myself, decided on our own that this was no place to be. Number 2. Hi, my name is Les Stamba. Though I have never been an Adventist pastor myself, I did study to become one. I had my SDA church membership transfer from Astoria, where I had been an elder in good standing, to Dillingham, where I moved in 1980, was blocked from taking place. Ironically, I believe staunchly in E.G. White at that time. The issue holding up my transfer had to do with my father, R. Glenn Stamba. Dad had been the longest serving and much loved missionary pastor in the Alaska mission of SDA and served as a pastor in Oregon and Washington states as well. But Dad was at that time being called to give assurance of his belief in Ellen White in the Gold Hill, Oregon church he was pastoring then. I was surprised to not see his name on your list of fired pastors, as the ultimate result for him was that he was fired about 1982 by the Oregon Conference of SDA, who also ironically are responsible for telling him about the lies about E.G. White. My father's story is a remarkable one, reminiscent of Martin Luther and the Diet at Worms. His congregations voted to reinstate him as pastor after he was censored. Surprisingly, even a panel fellow SDA denominational workers who examined his doctrinal beliefs voted to reinstate him. However, at his reinstatement ceremony, the Oregon Conference president asked him to reaffirm his belief in Ellen White and her writings stacked on top of the Bible in front of his congregation. After all they had told him and all he had learned in the process of the events he went through, he was amazed he could be asked such a thing and told them plainly so. 3. Neil C. Wilson, President General Conference of Seventh-day Adventists and life member Ellen G. White Estate Board. When we come to the point as to whether one has to believe in Ellen White to some degree or another, or accept her visions as real or simply an imagination, or parroting what someone else said, that one has to believe that these things were real visions in order to be Seventh-day Adventist or to experience salvation. This church has never taken that position. I hope it never does. Well, here's the list. Attached is a partial list of former SDA workers, mostly ordained ministers, who have been fired, pressured to resign, or reassigned voluntarily because they could not conscientiously believe in Ellen White to some degree or another, or accept her visions as real. Their refusal to preach extra-biblical church doctrines led to excruciating circumstances and decisions for many who loved their church and wished only to proclaim God's word, unhindered by human traditions and creeds. We ask our readers to supply us with any additions or corrections to this list. 104 Adventist pastors fired for not wanting to preach about Ellen G. White. Are you in a cult?